to you.
All right, Brad, thank you. After birth defects, drowning is the #1 cause of death for children, ages 1 to 4.
Boy, the stress of always keeping your eyes on those little kids. Dr. Jamie Friedman joining us now with reminders to keep everyone safe around the water. Doctor, good morning.
Good morning.
Today's the first day of spring, even though it's cold and rainy. Everybody's going to be jumping in the pools in the ocean again. When do parents need to be worried when they're around the water? Because my assumption is always.
Right, that's a good assumption.
Yeah.
All the time. Anytime you're around a body of water and you have a young child, they need to be constantly watched. If they're in the water, arm's reach. You need to be having your hands on them. But if you're just outside of the water in a home that has a pool, constant supervision.
Wow.
I have a pool, and I have a gate around my pool. Even with that, all eyes, it's just so difficult to watch the kids. And I know recently there was a story of Olympian Bodie Miller's daughter falling in the pool. They weren't even swimming. She just opened the door and snuck out. Kids have this fascination with water.
They do. And he partnered with the American Academy of Pediatrics, which is why there's this big push now to really talk about it. You need the 4-foot fence, all 4 sides with the self-latching gate. But then in the house, you want your doors either locked or alarms on the doors. I know when we put a pool in our yard, they made us come, you do the inspection, they put those alarm on the doors that dings every time it opens. And if you have small kids in the house, that's what you need to do.
People are assuming, does drowning primarily happen in pools, but there are other areas of danger, correct?
Right. Drowning does primarily happen in pools, and so having constant supervision, your water watcher, your life vest for your kids who don't swim, swim lessons, that's necessary, but you have to think about what's in the house. So in the bathtub, we all love to take a bath, right? But if the kids are in there forever and ever and you're sitting there, I gotta go grab my phone, I gotta do this, don't do it. Don't leave them even for a second in the bathtub.
We've talked about this so many times. There isn't a sound when it comes to a child drowning. It's silent, it's quick, and a lot of times it's not just a kid swimming in a pool. I've learned with the Bodie Miller and a few other stories is that they could just slip, fall, knock their head, and if somebody's not paying attention, that's it.
Right. Kids can drown in an inch of water. We're talking a dog bowl, a toilet bowl. This is why when you have your kids and you childproof, which you guys know, you put the lid locks on the toilets and you empty anything, any bucket of water you're playing with, kiddie pool that you're playing with. You got to get rid of any of the standing water that kids could fall and trip into.
The silent drowning that you mentioned, because drownings don't happen like they do in TV shows and movies where everybody's flailing around and everything else. It's a very quiet, and it just happens. That's something. That's why you mentioned water watchers. People didn't do this back when I was growing up.
Right.
And now when there's a party, there's a lot of people around, somebody's always in charge. That's important, right?
Yes, the AAP recommends someone is kind of like a designated driver.
Exactly.
Someone is assigned a water watcher, which means you're not on your phone. And you're not drinking. Off drinking, doing something else. You need to know the kids, what bathing suits they're wearing, and your eyes need to be on them.
Okay, you brought some really good pieces of advice. We've talked about some of these, but just to go over these again. So as parents, we're getting ready to go back into that season where the kiddos are going back in the pool again. Remind us, doctor, what are some of the things that we need to do?
Okay, so if you have a pool in the house, again, 4-sided, 4-foot fence with self-latching gate. When you're at the pool or at the beach, assign a water watcher. Make sure your kids get swim lessons prior to going out into the pool, even when they're young and can't learn to independently swim. There's studies have shown that kids who have had swim lessons are safer. If you have a non-swimmer and they're in the water, arm's reach. Okay, you need, even if they're in a flotation device, be in there with them.
I was struck by this. You said avoid those floaties.
Yes.
Because so many people, they go and they buy the floaties and they put them on the thing, and that's all you get.
Their arms go up and their heads go down.
Those.
Right. No, get a life vest. Like an approved life vest, like what you should.
That's huge, because a lot of parents, I think, maybe under the false pretense that, that's going to prevent them from drowning, and it won't.
It won't.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. CPR certified. Do you recommend, because a lot of times when you become a new parent, they teach the baby CPR.
I think it's a great
and even
idea.
as child CPR. That's a great idea. Every parent should do this.
And not just for drowning issues, but choking or anything. I think it's a great idea.
I did that with my first child 8 years ago. And I actually thought about this the other day. It's like, how often How do you know how often you're supposed to go
We
back?
have to recertify, I think, every 2 years.
Every 2
Yeah.
years. Maybe it might be the time to do it. Right on your to-do list, right? Dr.
Cool.
Friedman, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Good
Thank you.
information. It is 7:47. Let's get you over to Brad Wills.